I'm Vivian, but you can call me Viv, in case you didn't know that yet. Francine's Pilfered paper, written by Ray Langford, and storyboarded by Jean Lacombe, Ivan Tankashev, and Robert Yak. And everyone else who is responsible for this episode and for the other one that I'm going to review. Let's get started. In some sort of fantasy sequence with a few of the main characters taking back to the age of pilgrims that are settled in America. During this sequence, Buster feels guilty about their friend being punished for theft. And so does Muffy. And everyone else as well. Except for Mr. Ratburn. And their friend is none other than Francine. Ratburn has assigned individual Thanksgiving report assignments to each of his students. Later on, Francine is having trouble finding all the information she needs for her individual report, and Brain helps her out by finding some website links for her to look at. Then she does the unthinkable by stealing an article from one of the websites. She hands in her report the next day. She still doesn't know what she did was wrong, until Thanksgiving evening when her older sister Catherine finds out and tells Francine that what she did is called plagiarism, and that she could get suspended. After Francine's guilt rises some more during the Thanksgiving dinner from the minor dinner talk, until her guilt rises to the point where Francine asks to be excused to get some fresh air. And she rides her bike to Mr. Ratburn's house and to tell him what she did. But she ends up not telling him after receiving an A- on her plagiarized report. And back home, she tries to not feel guilty about it. Later that night, she has a dream that makes her guilt rise back to its original height, and maybe even higher. Someday or next day at 6:25, Francine tells Ratburn what she did, and he teaches her that if she did gotten away with it, there would have been 2 crimes she would have paid the price for. The author of the article is robbed of credit, and the plagiarizer is robbed of learning something. Francine hands in her own report that might not be that good, but it's something she wrote, and that matters more than whatever grade she will get, which is a B. Then she kisses her report.
Oh, that Francine!
The end. What are my opinions about this? Well, as far as I know, I didn't notice any continuity errors. Only just for a few confusing parts that didn't make sense and one animation error that I noticed. Other than those few problems, it was really good. It teaches kids a lesson that stealing comes in many different forms, including plagiarizing in particular, and that plagiarizing is a crime, even if you got away with it. I will give this a B+.
Woohoo! Yes!
Next episode. Buster Gets Real is written by Dietrich Smith, storyboarded by Ellie Clemos and Elise Benoit. The episode begins with an intro to a reality TV show called Top Supermarket Clerk. Everyone in Arthur's family likes the show, except for Arthur, who just wants to watch a previous Bionic Bunny episode that Buster had recorded for him. After Arthur is annoyed with his shushing family, he breaks the fourth wall as he wonders why our families don't like the same things as we do. I can relate. But he ends his flashbacks by saying that best friends are different because they like what you like. And that's why they are your best friends. After the show is over, Arthur finally gets to watch the previous episode of Top Supermarket. Wait a minute. It turns out to be the wrong tape. Arthur returns it to Buster, but to Buster it is the right tape. It turns out that Buster was just confused with what Arthur meant. And Buster reveals to him that he doesn't like Bionic Bunny anymore, and likes the show that Arthur's family likes, because it's real and Bionic Bunny's not. Okay, we'll go with that. Arthur leaves Buster without saying goodbye. Rude. But he is in some sort of reality spiral of coping with the fact that Buster hates Bionic Bunny. Arthur imagines himself visiting Bionic Bunny to tell him the awful news. They team up to find out what happened to Buster by breaking in the reality TV show company and discovered that Buster is brainwashed with food. Very confusing wording if you don't know what he actually means. Like if you're a kid and don't know what brainwashing means yet. Yeah, that was me. Anyway, it's a show about food, which Buster likes. Arthur tells Bionic Bunny that he has an idea before getting caught by a TV guy, and Arthur returns back to reality with an evil look in his eyes. Wait, that's not it. It's determination. That's it. Hopefully. Arthur calls Buster about the 5 Bionic Bunny movie marathon on Saturday. Buster almost ends up saying no, until Arthur bribes him with the offer of buying Buster popcorn and candy. During one of the movies, probably the first one, Arthur and Buster talk during the movie. Rude. Buster didn't silence his phone. Very rude. But at least it's a text message. That is still rude. Something happened in the reality TV show that has to do with giant comet worms. Wait, that's the movie. But that would be interesting. Buster eventually leaves, but not in a rude way. Arthur allows him to. And here's a cool transition where the camera or something pans up to the movie theater projector and fades to white. A few days later on Monday, Arthur doesn't sit next to Buster as part of the top supermarket clerk clique. Yeah, that's a good fandom name for them. Arthur discovers that reality TV shows are scripted. He tells Buster this, and he tries to get Buster to like Bionic Bunny again. It doesn't work. Then Arthur has a dream, instead of a nightmare, of Bionic Bunny telling him what to do. Be brainwashed as well or something. It's complicated. The next day or whenever, Arthur calls Buster to watch this week's top supermarket clerk and convinces him that he likes it now. He gets trained by DW to know everything that there is to know about the show. When the time comes, he tries to watch the show, but he ends up falling asleep. Buster calmly finds out that Arthur is forcing himself to like the show. But Arthur explains that he has to because then they won't have anything in common. And Buster comes to the conclusion, and so does Arthur, that they're probably not friends anymore. Before anything drastically takes a bad turn, Buster hands back a Henry Screever comic that he borrowed from Arthur that he loved. And that's when Arthur realizes that they are still both Screever heads. I guess we'll go with that fandom name. And they have other things in common as well. Yay! Then they go surfing, or it's a memory of it, or it's Arthur's fantasy or something. When it's shown, Arthur and Bionic Bunny are watching it. I don't know what's going on. This episode is a little confusing. They reflect on what happened, and then Bionic Bunny changes the channel to a show that he likes. The one that Arthur doesn't like. The end. Now let's reflect on this episode as well. It's a good episode. There is one minor continuity error where Arthur said that he made popcorn and everything, when there is no popcorn in sight once they are in the living room. And during that same scene, Buster isn't shown having a rolled up Henry Screever comic in his back pocket. And speaking of Henry Screever, how come Buster still loves that? Magic is not real. As far as we know, maybe that's why he likes it. He believes magic is real. And that's why he loved Bionic Bunny all that time. He always thought it was real. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. But I wish they had time to explain that part if that's what they had in mind. Anyway, it is a story about friendship. A friendship that was easily mended by a Henry Screever comic that Buster borrowed from Arthur. It is a good episode, as I said before, but I don't think it's my absolutely favorite. Putting aside my opinion, this is a very creative episode idea, and I will give this an honest B.
Oh! What did I miss?
Stay tuned at the end of this episode for a funny/fun moment as always. Bye!
Just seeing if you're a robot.